All right. Today, I'm going to tell you how I exited the United States Marine Corps. We're going to spare all the details of the service, perhaps a story for another time. Today, we're going to focus on how I got out, why, the ramifications, my thoughts looking back, and situations that have transpired since then, and how I see the situation here in this current moment. So, essentially, the catalyst for my exit from the Corps was a Schedule 1 substance they call cannabis, also famously known as marijuana. Okay? It was about 2 years in. I got promoted to Corporal E4. And about 2 months after that, myself and people I chose to surround myself with started ingesting copious amounts of marijuana. And we would do this pretty much as a daily routine. If we weren't out in the field training, whenever the day ended, drop camis, get in the ride, and get on River Road and burn some all the way to Onslow Beach. Is that wild? For real. 100% was a daily ritual. We'd go on pre-deployment workups, come back, get to it. The Onslow Beach cruise. No doubt. So that led to my exit. I actually got out on a deployment because this transpired for long enough, probably like 8 months of whenever I wasn't participating in operations training specifically for the deployment. This is what the people I chose to surround myself and I were doing. Real debauchery. The E4 Mafia is real. So, anyways, I'm in this headspace where I think I'm basically untouchable, because I've gotten away with so much crazy stuff, passed so many urinalysis. So, I show up to the pre-deployment urinalysis just probably hotter than hell. And at that point, I wasn't even sure that they were testing. So, drop in the cup and pack the gear, and this is the 22nd meal. And we hop on I was on the oldest destroyer in the fleet, LHD-1, the USS Wasp. So, we took that bad boy and the other ships zigzag across the Atlantic through the Strait of Gibraltar, and we were doing ops on the north coast of Africa, Morocco, off the Mediterranean. And one day, I got called into the First Sergeant's office, right? And I think, myself and the staff, we would go back and forth here and there. So I figured just some more regular BS. And where the 1-6 staff office was, it was a door right inside from where the gym was. So saw it all the time and worked out every day. So standing there, and the other guy, he just came out, and they looked at him like, don't tell him anything. Whatever, we'll see what's going on. And they call me in, and it's First Sergeant Batista and the whole entire staff. They go, you know why you're here? No idea. And they lay it on me. Violation of Article 112, abuse of a controlled substance, marijuana. So, and they bust out the test, and they say my THC levels were basically through the roof, as if I could have been high in that very moment. So, I knew I'd been red-handedly caught, so to say. Now, there was some, as a lot of the internet people like to say, nuance to the situation. Technically, the label on my sample, my name was spelled wrong. They did counsel me to not get legal defense and not take it to court-martial, make it a big deal. Basically, they cut me a deal, so to say, inside the military justice system, right? They said, listen, if you accept NJP, we'll OTH you, you'll be out in less than 3 months, which was a lie. But regardless, I was young and ignorant, and I was ready to get out at that point, so I took the deal. And I was on the boat for probably 2 more days, and then they put me on a chopper with my buddy Nick D'Amico. And I think it must have been a bunch of like soft guys, all black, body armor, tatted up. But yeah, they put us on a chopper with a bunch of soft guys, healed us off the ship and into Sicily, which that's still one of the craziest images in my mind. You see how vast some of these seas, like the Mediterranean Sea, because we were on a big boat. And as the helo just elevates, you look down and the boat just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. It's like, wow, what a perspective. So he heloed us into Sicily. We hung out there for a couple days. There was a gunny with us, but he was super chill. He was just glad to be off the boat. Then they put us on a plane to Rome, and then from Rome to Paris. Rome's a crazy airport. Everything's like delayed. But again, this was 2016, so I don't really know how it is now. But we almost missed a flight in Rome. We get on the plane, we go to Paris, and then since the plane was so late in Rome, we almost missed the flight from Paris to Atlanta. So luckily, they were waiting for us. So we got on the airplane, made it back to the U.S. I got transferred back to 210, and I went hardcore on the processing side. Anybody who's been in knows that they don't make it really easy to get out. You gotta check a lot of boxes, so to say. But I speed ran the process, and I made sure that I was out in less than 3 months. So them guaranteeing me to get out was technically a lie, but I did get out because I made a strong effort to exit. Now, that's the way it went. So October 5, 2016, I was honorably discharged, and I entered the civilian world. Now, what I'll say is I can specifically remember a time on Gamble Lejeune in the passenger seat of this ride, big joint in my hand, looking at it and verbalizing that if this is what gets me out of the Marine Corps, it'll be for a reason. I stated that. And at the time, when I got NJP'd, the CO of 1-6, he tore into me, the whole deal. But at the end of the day, I was in a space where, everything's flowing. Everything happens for a reason. So I was unshaken by it, totally unbothered. It's like, this is just a part of the journey. Here we go. And I made my exit. And I went on about my life. And this was, like I said, this is 9.5 years ago. So time has flown. But I will say that there's been times in between, where probably like 5 years ago, I started looking back going, man, what if? What if I would have played different cards, been smarter about it? Because as you mature, you start to realize that there's more power in your ability to make decisions. It's not really circumstances at all. But that's the crazy thing. Life has to be lived forward, but it's understood looking backwards. Nonetheless, I did have those questions of, did I mess things up? Like blah, blah, blah. But what I'll say now is I felt completely vindicated in how I exited in 2021 with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. I consider that to be the greatest military failure in recorded history. In all campaigns ever. The Afghanistan campaign, total failure. Because that's something I recognized when I was in. That's also why I was like, yeah, let's smoke weed. Like, I don't really care. Because when you're on the inside, you can see it's okay. This isn't what we were sold. This isn't what we were recruited on. These things happening over here on the other side of the world, this is not my fight. Right? Banker wars. And there was a lot of guys, everybody I came up under, the staff, the NCOs, all those guys went to Iraq and Afghanistan, those hellholes, and they lost friends there, and they lost parts of themselves there, and for what? To leave $100 million worth of equipment, 13 Marines die in the exit, total and complete failure. So that was when I knew that I knew for sure. But here recently, it's almost like a double vindication. Like, oh, here we are, back to the Middle East, huh? For the Third World War, the Holy War upon us. And a lot of people, it looks like, don't want any part of it. So we'll see where it goes. But based on what's happened recently and in the past several years, I felt like, all right, let's talk about how I got out and why I'm perfectly at peace with it. Because the administrations and the organizations that have been in charge have never been interested in victory or winning wars or honestly doing anything good for the American people. It's really always foreign interests and the pockets of bigger players in the world, So it'd be amazing to see a world where the American people had a leadership that cared about the fighting force and cared about the everyday people. But I'm not sure that'll ever come. But anyways, yeah, that's the story, right? That's how I got out of the Marine Corps. I smoked myself out of the organization. And it's been a really, really wild ride. And I don't tell most anybody I meet about it in sort of a passerby situation, right? It's like, oh yeah, I was in the Marine Corps. Oh, cool. How long, whatever. I don't get into the detail because it's a whole entire story, right? Like here, I'm giving you a super bird's eye view look at it, So it's like, I don't feel a need to unpack and tell this whole entire story. But if we're developing like a real friendship, long-term relationship, then I'll get into it, kind of tell you the nitty-gritty, and because it's a wild ride, So we'll see. I've got some ideas to tell more about the experience inside the Corps. Now, I'm thinking of how to wrap this up, how to end it, because kind of just got called out the big government and the powers that be, how it sucks. But make no mistake, I love the Marine Corps, truly. To this day, I have no idea who or where I'd be without it. It was always my destiny to join, I feel. Ever since I was a little kid, all I ever wanted to be was warfighter. It wasn't that I wanted to be. It's like, this is what I am. So this is where I belong. And I'll say that is in the Marine Corps. That's one of the only places on this whole entire earth I ever felt like I belonged. And I love all those guys, past, present, future. Love the Marines. The unfortunate situation is just the big leadership. So that's an issue. But always love the Corps, love all the Marines, and my ambition is that one day we'll be able to set things right. All right, so have a fantastic day.